I'm going to show you a way to track your plaque, which is the #1 way of helping to prevent heart attacks and strokes. Stay tuned. Before we get going here, just a quick reminder. Heart attacks and strokes are the #1 killer by far in the world today. More people will die or be maimed by heart attacks and strokes than cancer or any other chronic disease. When I say die, I mean die before their time, or be maimed before their time. And what I'm going to suggest in this video, the concept that I'll call CIMT plaque tracking, is the #1 tool you can use to give yourself feedback in order to prevent that heart attack or stroke. Because think about it, we all go to the doctor and we get lab work done and everyone's obsessed about cholesterol, and then you got other people talking about metabolic health markers, insulin resistance. We've got people that believe in this diet, not that diet, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, what better way to give yourself feedback than to actually look at the disease itself, and then in 6 to 12 months later look at the disease again? Has it gotten worse? And the disease is called atherosclerosis. In other words, plaquing of the arteries. If you've got plaque in your coronary arteries, the arteries feeding the heart, you're at risk of a heart attack. If you've got plaque in your neck arteries, they're called your carotid arteries, you're at risk of a stroke. If you can find a way that is safe, inexpensive, that you can repeat in the future to look at your atherosclerosis in your neck or your heart arteries, that arguably is way more relevant and way more powerful than looking at blood work. Can we agree on that? Because there's a lot of influencers online that want to sell you an ideology. You get the keto folks that a lot of them are saying you can blow your LDL high through the roof, it doesn't matter, so long as you're insulin sensitive and you don't have inflammation. Well, that's a theory, isn't it? But at the end of the day, would you rather perhaps naively believe that theory, or would you want to check that you're safe? And it's really simple to check that you're safe under whatever protocol or theory that you believe by looking at disease. Scanning your neck, scanning your heart arteries, okay? There's two types of plaque. There's non-calcified plaque, which is the most dangerous because it's unstable. And then there's calcified plaque, which is not so dangerous. It's more stable. It's like concrete on the walls of your artery. So when you get these scans done, you can get scans done that check for just calcified plaque. And that one's called a coronary artery calcium scan, which is a waste of time in my opinion. Why? Because it doesn't check for the more dangerous non-calcified plaque. And then you've got the very expensive CT angiogram, which is a scan of the coronary arteries, the heart arteries. It's very expensive, thousands of dollars. They put contrast dye into your veins and you're subjected to radiation. It's a great scan to get in terms of feedback for non-calcified plaque and calcified plaque. It's just very expensive and you get a not insignificant exposure to radiation, and therefore it's not that repeatable. The scan that I like the best is called a CIMT. It stands for Carotid Intima Media Thickness Scan. CIMT. Carotid artery is your neck arteries, these arteries. It's an ultrasound of the neck. So all it is, zero radiation, takes about 10 minutes, and you can therefore repeat it as often as you like. So you can track your plaque, as I call it, moving forward. And the company that I like to do it through is called Cardio Risk. On their website, you can go look for wherever they're doing scans in your area. If you don't see a location that is that close to you, my suggestion is that you call them up, because very often they're technicians. They work as kind of like independent contractors. They get assigned a geography and they might go into local doctors' offices or chiropractors' offices, wellness practitioners' offices, and do scans that may not be advertised on the website. So go to cardiorisk.com, see where they're doing scans, sign up for one, and if you don't see one too close to you, give them a call and see if there's anywhere else nearby that they may have a technician going into, okay? And listen, if the nearest location to you is a 3-hour drive, I want you to think about doing the drive. I want you to think about doing it once a year, because I want you to ask yourself a question. What's your life worth to you? Step back and think about that for a minute. What is your life worth to you? Because if you can track your plaque and you can see you're at risk, at danger, you can take steps, measures, interventions to reduce and minimize that danger, and then re-scan yourself 6 to 12 months later to see what progress you're making. You could literally use these scans to potentially save your life. So I'm going to make the argument that if you go to cardiorisk.com and you don't see anywhere that close to you, and maybe you call them up and you still nowhere that close to you, and you say the nearest one's a 3-hour drive, make the drive. Seriously, make the drive. Because otherwise what? You're going to rely on lab work? Well, to me, that's a crapshoot compared to looking at the disease. Atherosclerosis is a disease that begins at birth. And the only question is whether we die with it or because of it. And the only way you're going to know whether you're at risk of dying because of it is to scan your arteries, okay? Now, let's put my scan onto the screen. As you can see from my results, November 2025, my cardio-risk scan results, my CIMT, I had a total plaque burden of 2.7 millimeters. That's the total amount of plaque that they found, lesions, if you will, in my neck that are troublesome and concerning. This is non-calcified plaque, mixed plaque, heterogeneous plaque. If you want to watch my earlier video, I get into much more detail on how to interpret these scan results. But just quick snapshot, you can see here, I've got 2.7 total plaque burden, and that's the most relevant part of the scan. You see a number for artery age. Artery age reflects the intermedia thickness that they found, and that is a measurement of how thick the inner arterial walls are, the inner lining of the arteries are. It's not that that number is irrelevant, artery age and intermedia thickness, but what's far more relevant is plaque burden, okay? So you can see I'm in the red for plaque burden. So I've got issues here. However, you can also see from the November report, it provides the number for the last time I did it, which was August of 2025. And so I saw a 10% drop from in August of 2025, I was at 3.0 millimeters, and now I'm at 2.7 in November 2025. That's a 10% reduction in carotid plaque burden. That is significant, that is meaningful. And that's why I'm making these videos, quite frankly, because it is unusual to see that amount of plaque regression in 3 months. So I'm going to get into a lot of the things I was doing, because if I can share something with you that is minimizing or lessening the risk that I might have a stroke or a heart attack, my goal is to impart that information and knowledge onto you. But for now, I just want to focus again on this issue of getting yourself scanned, because I want this to be a participatory channel, not a, oh, he's saying some nice things and then I'll ignore it. No. I want you to actually pick up the phone, call CardioRisk, or just go to their website and register. Get yourself scanned. Then if you see results you're concerned about, go see your doctor first of all, right, and get their feedback. But I know what's going to happen. You're going to be like, I've got plaque in my arteries. Simon, you talked about a 10% regression. What were you doing? Because that's the kind of thing I really need to be doing myself. That's what you're going to think. So obviously, I'm encouraging you to do it first and foremost for your own health. You need to know this. And because I know I'm going to build a loyal subscriber base of folks, if you get these scans done, you see plaque, you go to your doctor and the doctor's going to suggest all these different things, and we can talk about what ideas might be useful to minimize the progression of your plaque or hopefully to regress it. One of the things I was doing in that 3-month time period when I saw 10% plaque reduction was taking a significant amount of proteolytic enzymes, one of which was nattokinase. And we're going to get into all this in future videos, okay? I'm getting into brands, the dose I was doing, all of that stuff. I was taking medications to lower cholesterol, non-statin medications, going to get into all of that. But again, think about how you want to track your risk of the #1 killer in the world, heart attacks and strokes. Do you really want to rely on lab work? Do you really want to rely on a belief system that your diet's going to keep you safe, that you live healthy, you eat clean, and therefore you're okay? Don't rely on any belief system. Go get your labs done by all means, but track your plaque. Get a CIMT done. Drop a comment in the comment section. What questions do you have? What do you want to know? What do you want me to talk about? Of course you want me to get into the details of what I'm doing to regress my own plaque, and I will, but that's not a 5-minute video. So just click the subscribe button, share this video if you don't mind, and encourage everybody you know. Get your husband, your wife, your spouse, someone you care about. Go together to get your plaque looked at in your neck arteries. It's about $200, $250. Will insurance cover it? Probably not. Do they ever cover anything that's relevant? Maybe I'm a cynic, right? I always say, well, why hasn't your doctor told you about a CIMT? Because they probably know insurance won't cover it. Maybe they don't know how to interpret it, or maybe it's just that that's not how we do things, whatever nonsense that is. There's nothing more powerful than looking at the disease itself and tracking it. So appreciate the time. Click the subscribe button. I'll see you in the next video.